in the old days, things were simpler, right? You had mostly farmers, warriors, priests. That's what you had mostly, right? And people figured out how to farm. Cycles are slow. It's kind of universal. It's unique to your individual circumstances and whatnot, but you could figure it out. You could figure out how to exist in the world. And then there were things that got more complicated. And then there were people who didn't have to farm and didn't have to be warriors, and they became educated and they figured some things out for us. And you know what? They probably did a good job. But now everything is so complicated and so complex that there's absolutely not a single person around, period, that knows exactly what's going on or what to do. And everybody on the ground, all of us regular folks who just read the news and whatever, we're all bewildered with and overwhelmed with information. The experts are too. And the system is so complicated and so complex that there's no possible way to be like, this is the desired outcome that I want. We do it. It's too big. And so what's needed now is a nimbleness, an ability to assess the situation, to take a step, see what happens, react, reassess, and then take another step. But that involves humility. That involves being able to say, I don't really know what's going on here, but I have kind of an idea. Let's try this thing. And if it doesn't work, then we try something else. The hubris of these people is that they're God and that they can fix everything and solve it down to zero. And if it doesn't work, it just means they need to do more of what they're doing rather than be like, well, fuck, it's complicated. I told you it was complicated. And then like start over. They just don't have the humility for that.
And who has the most to gain by keeping this chaos going? Who is financially to benefit? I don't know. Maybe it's like being cynical, but it feels like, would you say things have always been this corrupt, or just we can see it more so now?
I think that the leverage of corruption is far greater than it was in the past. There was corruption. Of course there's corruption. There's humans, there's corruption. But the decision making of a local guy in a farming community means if he's corrupt and he makes a bad decision and everybody like loses their crop for the year or whatever, then maybe that little village dies. Okay? Sad. But because of the way our society is built today, the corruption can be so great and so pervasive that a consequence could be not just that one little village dies, but the whole fucking country does. And this is what complex system scientists like my friend Joe Norman I've had on the show a few times. And this is why they want to have things like isolated. You want local networks, local decision making, local corruption, right? Like it localizes corruption too. So you have a failure, but you aren't ruined. And right now our system is set up for ruin. It's not set up for small little failures that we can learn from. It's actually set up so that when we do make the big mistake, it's the big mistake that's going to break everything.
But it seems like everything about the last year and a half has been destroy the middle class, destroy the small businesses, rely on Walmart, Amazon. So, well, what if they fail? Then the failure is even greater. And
That's right. You identified it right there. It's centralization, and then making that universal. And when you do that, then you create single concentrated points of failure. And what we're seeing right now, I believe, are just tremors. They're like, I don't live in California, so I don't know what it's like, or earthquake land. But I guess there's like rumblings maybe before like a really big one. These are just little rumblings, little tremors.
Indigestion.
Just little guys, little burps like I just had from the wine.
From the rosé.
I said wine on purpose.
Look what I'm drinking.
Rosé is
Yeah.
hydrate. It's hydrating. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. So these are little tremors. There's like tectonic plates. They're like lined up like this, and we just had like a. But soon enough, it's just gonna be a. And I think the old saying is that like change happens slowly and then all at once. I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a little bit of an acceleration. Today in Afghanistan was an absolute tragedy and disaster. Last I looked, something like 13 or 14 Americans dead, 50, 60, 100 people, injured overall. And anybody that had been paying attention to what was going on there would have predicted it. In fact, there were a number of pundits, John Robb in particular, who I follow and I promote on my Twitter feed, which is at Jack Murphy Live on Twitter, by the way. He said, look, they're going to try to take siege there in the Afghanistan airport, and they're going to do that by setting off bombs and killing people. And guess what they did? So some of these things are just obvious that are coming. And today was a national tragedy. There's no question about it. A bunch of people died.
Wouldn't this be then obvious to the administration? Like, it's so easy for people to be like, why wouldn't you get the troops out first? And then you hear people say it, and you're like, of course. Well, there must have been a reason.
They're dumb. I think they're dumb. They're dumb. I think that's partially it. They're dumb, and they move too slowly. Well, there's a few parts to it. The first thing is they need to be able to observe reality in an accurate way that actually reflects reality. And because they're so wokeified and fucking social justice warriored and CRT'd up and worrying about gays and trannies in the military, and I love gay people and trannies, they're human beings, so I love them. But like the focus of the military doesn't have to be, we need more. This is what we need to do. We need to worry about white rage, and we need to worry about white racism. And we don't need the president saying that the number one security threat that we face in the entire world is white supremacy. That's what they're focused on. So their skill of even just observing the world is fucked.
Their horse blinders are on everybody. It's
right.
Like
they're looking at the wrong things. And so their ability to observe, reorient to the circumstances, make a decision, and take action are totally fucked. Totally fucked. Because they're just looking at the wrong thing. And then the enemies and all the bad guys and everyone that hates us, and even the people that like us but aren't like totally on board with us, they're all doing something else. And we are just still like, why aren't there more trannies on the front line?
Yeah.
That will just make everything better.
We need them for the pamphlets.
Right, exactly. So their ability to perceive reality is broken. Therefore, every step that they take after that is going to be a wrong one.
And they're so insulated that they're probably surrounded by yes people because...
Well, the entire left apparatus and the entire uniparty apparatus and every institution, university, media company, arts institution, medical association, etc., so forth, and you name it, education, all of them, they're all fucked, they're all captured, they're all broken, and they're all looking at the wrong thing. And so whenever they take action, it's going to cause disaster around them.